Welcome to MGB 227, and the whole point of this little welcome to you is to try and set the scene. This unit, it would appear, is not like most of the other units that you'll be doing in your studies, regardless of what faculty you're coming from, it would seem. The basic reason for that is that I have a very, I suppose, deliberate and distinctive approach to trying to get you to understand what it means to be entrepreneurial. In fact, to encourage you to develop some of the key attributes and competencies related to being entrepreneurial. So this unit is very much about doing things rather than just simply learning things. The learning occurs after the doing. All right. So in many of your subjects it might be, we want you to learn this so that in the future you'll be able to do this. In this unit, we want you to do things so that you can reflect and learn. So I'll run through the actual process and structure of the unit soon. But the most important thing is that this will be the third time the unit's run, and we've had pretty much the same response from the students. We've had a lot of students who have said, fantastic, that was so different. I really enjoyed learning about me. That was great, that I, as in you, the student, was the center of the learning. That I was able to really focus on me in a safe environment. Then we've had a lot of other students who have said, this is a waste of my time. Really? We're learning this at university? So you get to choose. You always get to choose, right? You can either say, I want to knock this thing out of the park. I want to have some fun. I want to learn about me. And I want to work with other people in a really productive way. In which case, you're going to end up over here and say, this was fantastic. Alternatively, you can say, I'm not going to engage with this because it's going to challenge me too much. It's going to ask me to learn in ways that may be different to the ways that I might be comfortable or more sort of familiar with. In which case you may end over here having a wasted semester. And I hope that isn't the case for you. But I can't do anything about that. Ultimately, it's going to come down to you. So you'll see as we roll forward leading into the first workshop, you'll see there are lots and lots of learning guides that will be provided for you. They're going to help you to actually understand how to approach things, all right? Because I appreciate that this may be a foreign way of learning for many of you, but I can promise you this, it's a very, very safe process and a learning space for you to be a part of. But you have to trust the process that I'm putting in front of you. Very important that you trust the process. It's not just simply a matter of saying, oh, I got a book, I'll read the book and I'll know what I need to know. There is no book. Okay? There is no test at the end of the unit. There's a test at the beginning of the unit, and I'll explain that to you in a minute. But you don't need to simply be able to progress through the unit because you can remember things. You progress through the unit because you make sense of things and you reflect on things. So, let's stop there now and let's have a bit of a look at the structure of the unit and the tasks that you're going to be engaged with during the unit. The unit runs over 3 workshops. They're on Saturdays. We've got one in week 4, week 8 and week 12. Now I appreciate that there will be many students in a situation where they cannot get out of work. They may have religious beliefs, they may have a wedding that they've already got to attend. They've got a legitimate reason. Not, I want to hang out with my friends, or not, I'd rather just sort of do something else, but a legitimate reason. And if you're in that situation, then contact me. That's all you need to do is contact me and we can work out the alternative. And I run for those small amount of people, and it's generally going to be less than 50 people. I run a catch-up session on the following Mondays. So on the Monday, week 5, week 9, week 13, there'll be a workshop Monday mornings from generally around 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock.
and so you can come along and you can catch up in those workshops. But it's, as I say, it's just for those people who have got a legitimate reason why they can't come to that workshop. Now, it's important that you manage this. Last semester, I had a couple of people saying to me in week 12, I'm really upset that I had to come to these workshops because I had to give up going to work. If you don't need to give up work to come to the workshop. If you have to work, then you can come along on Mondays. Okay? So very important. The reason we do this format is that this unit is all about doing, and we can't get the coordination around that doing if all we've got is people coming in every Tuesday afternoon at 2 o'clock. It's not going to happen. We can't get the groups to work. We can't get everything, the intensity that we need for the experience isn't going to happen. So you'll actually find this actually frees up a lot of time for you across your normal semester. That's, my experience with students once they actually get their head around the trade-off of having 3 Saturdays rather than a class every week. And you can see that the first workshop, while it runs from 9 to 4, the other 2 workshops in week 8 and 12 only run from 9 to 1. So it's not even the whole Saturday. What's important is that you realise that there's a test, a pre-test. We call it a pre-test. So it's before we have that first workshop, the Thursday before, there is a online test. It'll be on Blackboard. It'll be released at midnight on the Thursday all the way through to midnight that night. So you've got a 24-hour window to do a test. So you'll find all the information you need on Blackboard shortly in relation to what it actually is you need to learn. It's the overall framework that we're going to be using. And so the test is not necessarily a test of your knowledge, more so it's a test of your willingness to prepare for Workshop 1 so that you can actually make a direct contribution to your team straight away. We don't want to have a situation where we've got people in a group who are not prepared to make a contribution. And we'll talk more about this as we go through, but one of the fundamental processes that we use in the unit is that if you're not happy with the group you're in, things aren't working for you, then you can sack yourself from that group. And if you've got people in your group who are not coming along, they're not doing the work, then you can certainly sack them from the group as well. All right? It's all about being adults, making choices, and if you don't want to contribute, then you don't have to, but you're not going to be carried by other people and pick up those marks on the way through. So you've got a test. It's 15 questions, multiple choice. It's not a complicated test. If you do the work, you won't have any problems getting a decent mark in that test. But as I say, it's about you being willing to do the work so that when you come along to Workshop 1, you've already got the knowledge framework that we need to work with. Okay? After you've had that first workshop, you're going to have something to reflect on. And so you'll do your first personal learning statement. And we'll obviously share with you plenty of guidance on that process of reflection. It is a process. I don't make any judgments about what you have to say relative to what someone else has to say. I just have a process that I want you to follow. And you'll get plenty of guidance and instruction on how to actually engage in that process. In the first workshop, you're also going to be forming teams. Now, you can form the teams with the people that you are friends with or that you know. To be honest with you, you'll learn a lot more from the unit by being in a group with people you don't know. So don't stress if you're coming along and you're thinking, gosh, I don't know anyone. I can assure you this. The unit is designed for you to have a lot of fun. A lot of fun, okay? So you're going to make friends very quickly on that first Workshop 1. Even if you don't have it, you might be there with your mate and you'll end up with 3 or 4 other people. You'll make plenty of friends because that's the way the workshops are actually designed. From the first workshop, you're going to have a project, which over the next 4 weeks you're going to complete. So that's the Value Creation Project Part A. And before week 8, you'll submit to me a 2-minute video, which will be your proposed strategy, and 1 page which outlines the assumptions that you've actually created. So that's what having been to workshop 1, you'll have formed teams, you'll be starting working on a project, and you'll be going off and doing your first personal learning statement. After you've been to workshop 2, you'll be able to then engage with your group in the second part of the value creation project, separate, which is part B. And you'll also now have more experience for you to reflect upon in personal learning statement 2. And then eventually, after the third workshop, you will be able to engage in personal learning statement number 3. So it's important to realize that as we go through this, if you look along the bottom of the screen, you start with studying a framework. You then use the framework in between both of the workshops. After each of the workshops, you then have an opportunity to write a reflection which is based on you. This is an essential part of the unit because the most important thing that you're going to learn in this unit is about you. That's the way it's designed. It's a course on entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship's not about theories. It's about your ability to understand yourself as a change agent, as somebody who can cope with different situations where it might not be so obvious what you've actually got to do, but you've got decisions to make. It's about your ability to sell concepts. It's about your ability to work in a team. So you've got a lot of experiences to engage with, and from those experiences, you're going to have opportunities to reflect on yourself and your ability to engage in those processes. Now, if you look at the spread of marks across the unit, you'll see you've got 60 marks, which are totally attributed to your own individual performance. So that's the pre-test and the 3 personal learning statements. You've also got 2 lots of 20, so 40 marks, which are related to your group work. Now, I'm going to give you lots of guidance on what it actually means to be a good team player in that group. I know a lot of students don't like group work, and we'll talk a lot about that in the first session. What I will tell you, talk to your friends if they've done the unit. There's a very deliberate process for supporting you to have a fantastic time in your group work. This is group work unlike you've done it before. It's very much a part of the learning process. You will enjoy this process unless you're 100% convinced that you are not going to enjoy it. And then I can't really do anything to help you in that situation. But if you're prepared to trust the process that this unit is built through, then you'll get a lot out of the process of working with some other students as you go through this process. I think that's pretty much all I really need to do to tell you about the actual process. But you can see it here. It's 3 workshops. One's a whole day. The other 2 are half days. You've got a framework which you need to have learnt before week 4. You've got 2 group projects which are related but separate between the 2 workshops. And you've got personal learning statements which are due immediately after the workshops as well. So I think that sort of captures the nature of the actual structure of the unit and how it flows for you.
So how does that look? Does that make any sense? It is going to be foreign. It is going to be challenging for you. But what I would say to you is that for the majority of students who enjoyed the unit last year when it ran the first time, they didn't learn a little bit, they learned a huge amount. I've been teaching this way for about 17 years. And obviously while it's been evolving over that period of time, I already know the benefits of this unit for you. I already know what you can get out of the unit. But you've got to put something into it. All right? You've got to be prepared to come along and put something that's uniquely you into the unit. If you're prepared to do that, then you'll take something really valuable out of the unit. If you want to stay back and moan and criticize and say, I don't like the way this is taught, I don't like what he's asking me to do, then I can't really help you. That you may find that the unit is not something that you actually enjoy. But the only people who won't enjoy the unit are the people who are not prepared to engage in it, who don't have the courage to be vulnerable to the learning space that's been created for you, a very safe space that's been created for you. So that's my challenge to you. Do you have the courage to come along and trust the process and see how things move forward for you? Now, there's a Facebook group that's sitting there waiting for you. Just go on to Facebook and just type in 227 and you'll find this picture of this cow. Jump on. Most of the students from the previous semesters are still mostly in that group, but that's not a problem. Whatever I post onto Blackboard will be fine, but it'll also get reproduced and sent over here into the Facebook group. So for those of you who find you're able to access notifications on Facebook easier, you'll find that most probably easier. You don't have to go onto the Facebook group, it's just easier for a lot of people, and you might find it's a better way for you to keep up to date and to interact obviously with other students in the unit. So I can't wait to see you in week 4. You're going to get a lot of emails from me. You'll see the setup that sits on Blackboard shortly in terms of all of the key dates and milestones that you guys are going to be working through. The key thing is that you come along prepared to challenge yourself. If you do that, you're going to have a great semester. If you come along to defend yourself, there's not much I can do to help you. But I think you're up for the challenge. So come along and let's have some fun. And it will be fun, I can promise you that. I'll never bring you in on Saturdays to spend time not having fun. Guarantee we'll have fun. See you soon.